Hey, let me ask you something. Have you ever played a game and couldn't stop thinking about it? Like, you die, you lose everything, and still, you hit play again? Yeah, these are the most addictive games on Steam, according to players themselves. And trust me, once you start, you're not getting out. At first, it looks like poker. Nothing special. A few cards, some chips, a familiar table. But the moment you start playing, you realize this isn't poker. This is something else. Because here, the rules don't exist. Every round, you're not just playing a hand, you're building a strategy. You're choosing which cards to keep, which to destroy, which to transform into something completely broken. And then, there are jokers. These aren't just bonuses, these are game changers. A single joker can turn a weak hand into something unstoppable. Multipliers start stacking, numbers start exploding. You go from scoring a few points to dealing thousands, then millions. And suddenly, you're not even thinking about poker anymore. You're thinking about optimization, about the perfect combo, about that one run where everything aligns perfectly. And that's where the addiction begins. Because every time you lose, you don't feel frustrated. You feel close, like you almost figured it out. So you go again, and again, and again. Unlocking new decks, new modifiers, new insane combinations. Each run teaches you something. Each mistake makes you better. Until one day, you build something so broken, so perfectly optimized, that the game itself struggles to keep up. And even then, you don't stop. You don't stop because you know you can still do better. You're dropped into a dark world, a twisted version of fairy tales you thought you knew. Nothing is safe. You choose your character, each one completely different. Different abilities, different playstyles, different ways to survive. And the moment the run starts, the pressure begins. You're on a timer. Day turns into night, and night is when everything gets worse. Enemies become stronger, more aggressive, more dangerous. You explore the map, looking for upgrades, skills, resources, anything that gives you an edge, because you know a boss is coming. And if you're not ready, it's over. Combat is fast, responsive. Every dodge matters. Every ability matters. You can't just spam attacks. You have to think, position yourself, time your moves, especially in co-op. Because now, your survival depends on others. You coordinate, you revive, you fight together, or you all fall together. And every run feels different. Different builds, different paths, different outcomes. And that's what keeps you coming back. Because even when you lose, you know, next time, you'll do it better. You're not just fighting, you're commanding. A crew, a ship, a life on the sea. Rogue Waters takes the roguelite formula and turns it into something more tactical. Every decision matters before the battle even starts. You choose your crew. Each member has abilities, strengths, weaknesses, and once the fight begins, it becomes a game of positioning, strategy, planning ahead. You move units, you attack, you defend, you control the battlefield. But the real twist? The sea itself. Boarding enemy ships, fighting on unstable ground, managing resources mid-run. Everything feels dynamic, unpredictable. And just like any roguelite, you will lose. A lot. But every loss teaches you something. How to build a better crew, how to approach fights differently, how to survive longer. Until eventually, you stop reacting and start controlling the chaos. And that's when the game truly opens up. Because now, you're not just playing, you're mastering it. And what makes Rogue Waters different is how it mixes systems together. This isn't just combat, it's management. Between battles, you make decisions, upgrade your ship, recruit new crew members, choose your path on the map, and every choice changes your run. Some paths are safer, others are risky, but give better rewards. And your crew is everything. Each member has a role: damage dealers, support, control. And positioning becomes critical, because in battle, where you stand can decide everything. You're not just attacking, you're setting up turns, blocking enemies, creating advantages. And then there's momentum. If you lose control, the fight becomes harder. Enemies surround you, options become limited, and suddenly, you're reacting instead of planning. And that's when runs fail. But when everything works, when your crew is perfectly built, when your strategy flows, you feel in control, not just surviving, but dominating the fight. And that's when the game becomes addictive, because you start chasing that perfect run. At first, it looks like inventory management. Just a backpack, a few items, nothing special. The backpack is the game. Every item you pick up has a position, changes everything. Put a sword next to a shield, you get a bonus. Place an item in the wrong spot, you lose power. Rotate it differently, and suddenly, your entire build changes. This isn't about collecting items. This is about arranging them perfectly. Every run becomes a puzzle. You're not just fighting enemies, you're solving a system. Optimizing space, maximizing damage, balancing defense and offense. And the deeper you go, the more complex it gets. New item types, relics, synergies that completely break the game. You start thinking differently. Not what is strong, but where should I place it? And that's the addiction. Because every run feels like a problem, you're so close to solving. And when everything aligns, when your backpack becomes perfect, you don't feel lucky. You feel smart. And that's why you go again. And then you start understanding patterns. Some items don't just work alone. They depend on positioning. Items that boost everything around them. Items that activate when something is placed above, below, or next to them. And suddenly, your backpack is no longer storage. It's a system, a network. Every move you make changes the outcome of your fights. And enemies start to test that system. Stronger attacks, more complex mechanics, longer fights. And you need consistency, because one weak setup can destroy your entire run. So you start thinking ahead, not just about the next fight, but the entire run. You hold items, you plan combinations, you sacrifice space for power. And then comes the moment where everything fits. Perfectly. Every item in place, every synergy active, every number optimized. And the game stops feeling random. It feels solved, but only for a moment, because the next run starts from zero again. This is where things get real. No fancy systems, no easy mechanics, just pure survival. Caveblazers throws you into a cave and tells you one thing: figure it out. Every run is different. Different items, different enemies, different paths. You don't know what's coming. And that's the danger. Combat is unforgiving. You don't spam attacks. You time them. You read enemy patterns. You react. Because one mistake can end everything. And the items? They don't just make you stronger. Some of them make the game harder. Cursed weapons, strange effects, risk for power. You decide. Play it safe or go all in. And that's the core of the game. It doesn't guide you. It tests you again and again until you either adapt or fail. And when you finally survive longer than before, you realize something. You didn't get lucky. You got better. And then you realize this game rewards awareness, not just skill. You start noticing small things: enemy behavior, trap placement, hidden paths, things you missed before. And that knowledge becomes your advantage. Because Caveblazers doesn't forgive mistakes, but it rewards experience. You learn when to fight and when to avoid, when to risk and when to play safe. And items start to matter more. Not just what they do, but how they fit your run. Because stacking random power doesn't always work. Sometimes balance is stronger. And the deeper you go, the more intense it becomes. More enemies, more chaos, less room for error, until every move feels important. And when you finally reach further than before, you don't celebrate luck, you recognize progress. Because this game doesn't carry you, you carry yourself through it. Everything here is fast. There's no time to think, only react. Gatekeeper drops you into chaos and expects you to keep up. Enemies spawn everywhere, projectiles flying non-stop, and you dashing through it all. Combat is aggressive. You're always moving, always attacking, always one mistake away from death. But that's not the whole story, because the game gives you tools, upgrades, abilities, modifiers that change how you play. You build your character during the run, adapting to what you get, turning randomness into power. And if you're playing co-op, it becomes something else entirely. Now it's coordination, positioning, supporting each other, or watching everything fall apart. Because this game doesn't slow down. It keeps pushing you faster, harder, until you either master the chaos or get overwhelmed by it. And the more you play, the more you understand the rhythm. Because Gatekeeper isn't random chaos. It has flow. You move, you attack, you dodge, like a pattern, like a loop. And once you sync with it, everything becomes smoother. But the difficulty keeps rising. New enemy types, faster attacks, more pressure from every direction. And your build starts to define your survival. Do you go full damage, risk everything for speed, or balance it and survive longer? Because upgrades aren't always perfect. Sometimes you adapt, sometimes you compromise. And that's where experience shows. Because good players don't just pick strong upgrades. They build around what they have. They adjust, they optimize. And when everything comes together, the game feels fast, but controlled. And that's the difference between surviving chaos and mastering it. This isn't about enemies. This is about bosses. Only bosses. Every fight is a test, but not just of skill, of time. Because in Godstrike, your health is your timer. Every second you waste, you're dying slowly. So you can't hesitate. You can't play safe. You have to be aggressive, precise, focused. Each boss has patterns, attacks, phases. You learn them, you adapt, you improve. And every second matters. You're not just trying to survive. You're trying to finish the fight as fast as possible. And that changes everything, because now every decision is pressure. Every mistake is costly. And every victory feels earned, not given. And as you progress, you start thinking differently. Not how do I survive, but how fast can I finish this? Because time is everything. You learn boss patterns, attack windows, safe zones, moments where you can push damage, and moments where you must back off. And every fight becomes cleaner, more efficient, more precise. You waste less time. You take fewer hits. You control the pace. And then you start optimizing, using abilities at the perfect moment, maximizing damage output, ending phases faster. And suddenly, the game feels different. Not stressful, but focused, like a challenge you understand. And every victory feels like improvement, because you didn't just survive, you executed. And that's what makes you go again, to do it cleaner, faster, better. It looks simple, bright colors, cute design, almost relaxing. But don't let that fool you, because underneath there's strategy, deep strategy. This isn't about fast reactions, it's about decisions. Every move matters. Every action has consequences. You build your run slowly, choosing upgrades, adjusting your playstyle, adapting to what the game gives you. And the further you go, the harder it becomes. Enemies get smarter, stronger, more unpredictable. And you start realizing this isn't a casual game, it's a thinking game. One mistake, one wrong choice can ruin everything. And that's what keeps you engaged, because every run feels like a challenge you almost solved. And the deeper you go, the more the game challenges your decisions. Not your reflexes, your thinking. Because every upgrade changes your path. You might focus on damage, but then struggle to survive. Or build defense and lose momentum. So you balance, adjust, rebuild your strategy mid-run. And enemies start forcing those decisions. Different attack styles, different mechanics, different threats. You can't play the same way every time. And that's the key, adaptation. Understanding what the game gives you and turning it into something that works, even if it's not perfect. And when a run finally clicks, when your build makes sense, when every decision pays off, you feel it. Not as luck, but as understanding. And that's what brings you back, to solve it again, better than before. Space. darkness, and you alone.
Asterogues throws you into the unknown, a roguelike set in space where every run feels isolated. Different characters, different abilities, different ways to survive. You're constantly moving, dodging, attacking, trying to stay alive in a place that doesn't care about you. Upgrades come fast, choices come faster, and you have to adapt. Build your character on the fly, turn randomness into advantage, because if you don't, the game will overwhelm you. And the deeper you go, the harder it gets. More enemies, more pressure, more chaos, until survival itself feels like an achievement. And that's why you keep playing, because every run feels like a step forward. And over time, you start recognizing patterns, enemy movement, spawn behavior, attack timing. Things that felt random before start making sense. And that changes how you play. You move smarter, you react earlier, you position better, and upgrades become more meaningful. Because now, you know what you need. More damage, more mobility, more survivability. Every choice shapes your run, and mistakes become clearer. You see where you failed, what you could have done better, and that pushes you forward. Because every run teaches you something, even if you lose, especially if you lose. And slowly, you stop feeling lost in space. You start controlling it.
This one slows things down, but makes you think more. Nordhold isn't about speed, it's about control. You build, you manage, you defend. Every structure you place, every decision you make, shapes your survival. Resources are limited, time is limited, and enemies are always coming. So you plan, carefully, where to build, what to upgrade, how to defend. Because one weak point can destroy everything. And unlike other games, this isn't chaos. This is pressure. Slow, constant, unforgiving. And that's what makes it powerful, because every success feels earned, and every failure teaches you something that you take into the next run.
And as time passes, the pressure builds.
Not suddenly, but constantly. Enemies don't rush you all at once. They test you slowly, wave after wave, and your setup gets pushed to its limits. Weak defenses start to show. Bad decisions start to hurt, and you can't fix everything. Resources are limited. Time is limited, so you prioritize. What matters most? Defense, expansion, upgrades? Every choice has a cost, and that's what makes the game deep. Because there's no perfect answer, only better decisions, and worse ones. And when you finally survive longer than before, it's not luck, it's planning, execution, understanding the system. And that's why you return, to build better, stronger, smarter every time. So, now you've seen them. Different games, same feeling. You start with one run, and suddenly, hours are gone. So tell me, which one are you starting tonight? Because right now, some of these games are actually on discount. So if you're going to lose sleep anyway, at least get them cheaper. DISCOVER.GAMES. Just one run, right?